Joining me now is Democratic Congressman from Virginia, James Walkinshaw. Thank you so much for being here. Look, I want to quickly play what your colleague from Michigan, Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, said about these subsidies and what the House is expected to do.
We spend twice as much on health care in this country than any other industrialized nation and have worse outcomes. So it will pass. It will pass in the House, the 3-year extension. I've told Hakeem very pointedly we would have Republicans supporting that. Now we got to work with the Senate.
Do you have confidence that it will pass, that there will be an extension of these subsidies for Obamacare?
Well, I think Congresswoman Dingell is right. It will pass in the House. What we're hearing today from Senate Republican leadership is they don't intend to move on the legislation, even if it has passed the House. I think they're going to face a lot of pressure. I think you'll have a bipartisan vote coming out of the House to extend the tax credits for 3 years. And Senator Thune and Senate Republicans, I think, would be wise to take up that legislation and pass it in the Senate as well.
Republicans consistently criticize Democrats, saying that you're the ones that chose to make the enhanced ACA subsidies temporary when you had control. Do Democrats have some responsibility for the situation that people find themselves in now?
Well, Democrats in Congress have been advocating to extend the tax credits throughout all of 2025, put forward legislation that was blocked by Republicans in both the House and Senate time after time after time. So the burden here, the fault lies with Republicans who have refused to do the simple thing and pass a clean extension of the tax credits that millions of Americans rely on. We can do both. Look, we can pass a clean extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits to prevent these premiums from doubling, tripling, or quadrupling for some American families. And we can have a longer conversation and dialogue about ways to bring down the cost of health care for everyday Americans. We can do both, and we should.
All right, I want to move on from this. It's a really important issue, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about it over the next several days and weeks and months. I do want to ask you about what's happened here in New York. The new mayor is in place. He's already signed 5 executive orders, and Zohran Mamdani is staying true to his word that he's going to govern as a democratic socialist. And in his speech, he said that, and I'm quoting here, "We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism." Is that how Democrats should govern in your mind?
Well, look, the Democratic Party is a big tent, and that big tent absolutely includes Mayor Mamdani, and I'm excited to see the things he might be able to do in New York City. Obviously, New York City is a unique place. I represent Virginia. I went to school in New York City, and it's a wonderful but unique place politically. So what's going to work for him in New York City probably won't work for every Democrat everywhere we have to run and compete and govern across the country. But we're a big tent, moderates, progressives.
All right. We're looking at pictures of the inauguration there from New York, where, as you mentioned, you did go to school here, which is why one of the reasons why I asked you the question. I do want to ask you this. There is something a lot of people may have missed because it was released at an interesting time on New Year's Eve. It's the testimony of Special Prosecutor Jack Smith on his investigation into Trump's role in January 6th, the attack on the Capitol. This is his congressional testimony. I just want to let people to hear a really important part of it.
The evidence here made clear that President Trump was, by a large measure, the most culpable and most responsible person in this conspiracy. These crimes were committed for his benefit. The attack that happened at the Capitol, as part of this case, does not happen without him.
Most culpable, most responsible person in this conspiracy. First of all, I want to get your take on why and when it was released, why it was released at that time, and if there is something that Democrats plan to do now that this has been made public.
Well, I think it's obvious why it was released when it was released. Republicans in Washington don't want to acknowledge Donald Trump's culpability with respect to January 6th. He compounded that culpability with the mass pardoning of the 1,500 plus folks involved in January 6th, including a lot of folks who have gone on to commit violent crimes in communities across the country. So they don't want the American people to hear the truth that Jack Smith laid out in his testimony. I think moving forward, look, we're coming up on the anniversary of January 6th in a couple of days. Democrats in the House will be holding a special hearing to talk about the issue. I don't think it's something we can ever let go. The fact that a sitting United States president, Donald Trump at the time, tried to subvert the results of a free and fair election and then cheered on a violent mob who attacked the Capitol, leading to the death of police officers, tried to kill the Vice President of the United States. Look, when the history books are written about Donald Trump, January 6th will be in the first paragraph. This will hang over him for the rest of his life and long beyond the end of his life.
Congressman James Walkinshaw, I do appreciate you coming on this day. Thank you. All right, new this morning, Venezuela's leader says he's ready to talk